How can you tell if the man is wearing the beast, or the beast is wearing the man? Now, old Nan has no more tales, and Maester Luwin will never scoff again. That's fine. I don't like scary stories anymore. Because I'm in one.
The Realm. Do you know what the Realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 Endgame Theory video. In today's video, I want to discuss a theory I came up with shortly after Season 7 had ended. As of right now, I don't think anyone else has made a video about this possibility before. The first time I talked about this, my channel was about half the size that it is today. So now that we're almost 400,000 strong and only a few months away from the final season, I want to know what people think about this idea today. I do admit that this is one of my tinfoil theories. However, I think the evidence does show that something like this is possible, no matter how unlikely it may be. The main reason why I felt like discussing this again is because I have noticed a large portion of my subscribers believe the Night King will not die. I know this not only because of the type of comments that I see, but I also had people vote on what they thought would happen to the Night King. So if you are one of those people, you may find this video to be interesting. So with that being said, let's begin. Let's start off the video by going over some of the things we do know about the Night King. As we all know, the White Walkers were introduced at the beginning of the pilot episode, but we weren't introduced to the Night King until Season 4, Episode 4. This was during the time that Craster was leaving his sons out in the woods as a sacrifice to the gods. In this episode, we finally learned exactly what that meant. Craster was giving his sons to the White Walkers, who would then take them all the way to the Lands of Always Winter, where the Night King was waiting. When the White Walker arrived with the baby in hand, he placed him on an altar made out of ice. This was when the leader of the White Walkers finally revealed himself, along with one of his powers. Now that was obviously very impressive at the time, but what the Night King was able to do after this had many fans left in shock. The next time we saw the Night King was during an episode known as Hardhome. This was when Jon Snow went to Hardhome to gather up as many wildlings as he could, but the Night King was not about to allow that to happen. As the wildlings were beginning to leave with Jon, they came under attack by thousands of whites. As they were leaving Hardhome, the Night King revealed himself once again, but this time he showed us just how powerful he truly is. During a very tense stare down, the Night King lifted his arms, and when he did this, all of the fallen wildlings started to reanimate. After a few moments, all of the dead wildlings were standing back up, but this time, all of their eyes had turned like blue stars, just like the Night Kings and the White Walkers. The Night King was able to reanimate thousands of wildlings at the same time, unlike anything we have ever seen before. We still don't know exactly how the Night King is able to do this, but since he was created by the Children of the Forest, who get their powers through the old gods and or the weirwood trees, I imagine it's very similar to what Bran Stark is able to do with the Direwolves or Hodor. As I have said before, Bran and the Night King are getting their powers from the exact same source, in my opinion. This information started to get revealed when Bran Stark was training at the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. When Bran was there, we eventually see him go into the weirwood net on his own, and when he does this, he finds himself standing in front of a large group of whites. When Bran was approaching the horde of whites, it became clear that they were completely motionless, almost as if they were asleep. That was until Bran got to the back of their formation, where the Night King and the White Walkers were waiting for him. I tend to believe that this was one of the many setups by the Night King. Since Bran was inside of the weirwood net, he did have a false sense of security, which is exactly what the Night King wanted him to believe. However, when the Night King turned his head to look at Bran, all of the whites turned around simultaneously. All of them were now staring directly at Bran, and the dream state inside of the weirwood net was now turning into a nightmare. The Night King showed us once again just how powerful he is. After all, this was Bran Stark's vision, yet the Night King was the one who had the most control over what happened. As we all know, the Night King was able to reach out and grab Bran by the arm, which eventually led to the Night King getting inside of the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. However, this might not have been the biggest revelation of that episode. Later, we find out exactly who created the Night King in the first place. During another flashback, we could see that a man was tied up to the weirwood tree with a gag in his mouth. Then we see Leaf begin to approach that man while she has a dragonglass dagger in her hand. When she pushes the dagger into his chest, his eyes begin to turn icy blue, the same color blue as all of the White Walkers and the Whites. There is a reason why all of their eyes are the same color. As we all know, the Night King's eyes are icy blue, and that color transfers whenever he takes control of something. This is to show that the Night King is the one who is in control over that person or animal. We have seen this exact same thing with Bran Stark as well. Whenever Bran is getting ready to do the same thing, we can see that his eyes turn white. This also happens to whatever animal or person Bran begins to enter. This is to show that Bran Stark is the one who is in control over that animal or person, just like with the Night King. Since the Night King was created by the Children of the Forest, I think it's safe to assume that he is getting his power from the same source as them. After all, they did create the Night King as a weapon to defend themselves, so it would make sense that he would have some of the same abilities as them. And this is why Bran and the Night King are able to do some of the same things. That's because Bran is getting his power from the old gods of the weirwood trees as well. Not only can both of them enter the weirwood net at the same time, but both of them are also able to control other people or animals, as we all know. The only problem for Bran is he hasn't learned how to harness these powers yet. The Night King has had thousands of years to practice, whereas Bran has only had a few. Now there is one special ability that both of these characters should possess, only we haven't seen them do it yet because they haven't had to. You see, when a person has the ability to enter the mind of another person or animal, they can use this right before they die. Therefore, they continue to live through that other animal or person's body. They do not have to stay trapped in their own body as it dies. We get many examples of that happening in the books, but we have already seen this happen in the TV show as well. And as you all know, whenever they introduce something in the show, the chances of them doing that again are very high. Back in Season 3, when Jon Snow is traveling with Tormund and Ygritte, we meet a character that has that ability. This character goes by the name of Orell, and he just so happens to travel with an eagle. As they are making their way to Castle Black, they come upon an old man who Jon Snow is ordered to kill. This is something that Jon needs to do to show that he is one of them, but when Jon refuses to kill that old man, a fight breaks out. During that fight, Jon is able to stick his sword right into Orell's chest, but right before he dies, he leaves his body then enters the bird. Once he's inside of the bird, not only is he able to continue to live, but he's also able to continue to attack Jon Snow. This is kind of fascinating, so now that we know if a character has this ability, then they don't necessarily have to die for good. Once their original body begins to die, they can leave that body and continue to live in something or someone else. Now let's think about Bran Stark and the Night King. They may be able to take this even a step further, because we have seen them take control of a person, not just an animal. In the books, there is a character who goes by the name of Varamir Sixskins, and he also has the same ability, but he is able to control 6 animals at the same time. Now what's interesting about this character is he actually tries to do what I referred to earlier. As he is about to die, he attempts to enter another person's body, that way his conscience can continue to live. This happens somewhat shortly after Stannis attacks Mance's army right on the other side of the wall. During this attack, Varamir flees from the scene, and he ends up getting stabbed by some little boy when he tries to take a cloak off of his dead mother. Varamir knows that this injury will kill him, so he begins to contemplate leaving his own body to enter another. Instead of just using the body of some animal, he wanted to take things a step further by using the body of another person. The only problem is it doesn't quite work out well for him. This isn't something that he has much experience with. When he tries to enter the body of a woman named Thistle, she has a terrible reaction as if a virus has just entered her body. She begins to scream and claw out her own eyes. She even bites off her own tongue, and Varamir can actually taste the blood, so he does leave her body, and he enters one of his wolves instead. Varamir Sixskins wasn't able to pull this off, but perhaps another character could. I imagine that if another character were able to do this, it would have to be a character that has a lot of experience with being inside of another person's body. Since Bran and the Night King both seem to be the most powerful characters who are tapping into the same power source, my money would be on one of them. We have seen the Night King enter the mind of other animals, and even other people, but so far all of them have been dead. What I want to propose is, what if the Night King tries to enter the mind of a living person? What if this is the big twist at the end of the series? What if he does this to try to escape his own death? As we all know, Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen are on a mission to defeat the Night King, but what if he leaves his body right before it gives out? Now I know that we're not exactly sure if the Night King has that power or not, but we may have been given another clue during Season 7. When we saw Bran Stark go to spy on the Night King almost immediately sensed that Bran was there. The big-ass flock of birds could have been a dead giveaway, but it could have also been something else. We know that Bran Stark is a skin changer, and as I have said, I also believe that the Night King is a skin changer as well. Another interesting thing about these characters with this ability is they are able to sense whenever another one is close by. So even if the Night King did not spot those birds in the sky, he still could have had the sense that Bran was near since they share that same power. When the Night King did look up at the birds, they almost exploded, which did cause Bran to exit their bodies almost immediately. It seemed as if the Night King had forced him out of those birds. His mental abilities are still far superior to Bran's, and this is messing with his head. Like I said earlier, the Night King has had many years to learn how to harness all of these powers, unlike Bran. There was also one other thing that makes me think that maybe the Night King cannot be killed. Jon Snow said something during Season 7 that may have been a big clue for the endgame. When Jon and company went out beyond the wall to capture a White, we learned that if you kill a White Walker, you can also kill everything that White Walker reanimated. When Jon killed that White Walker, we also saw all of the Whites that were with him die at the exact same time. That led Beric Dondarrion to suggesting that if you kill the Night King, then you should be able to kill everything he reanimated, which is essentially the entire army of the dead. I thought this was a reasonable solution. After all, we did just see it work with one of the White Walkers, but Jon Snow's response to this was very interesting.
Daenerys is our only chance.
No. There's another. Kill him. He turned them all.
You don't understand.
Why did Jon Snow say you don't understand? Does that mean this plan will not work, or does that mean the Night King cannot be killed? There is a theory that says Bran Stark is the Night King, and many people believe this will come true because Bran will eventually get trapped inside of the Night King's body, but I wanted to flip that theory on its head. During the final battle against the Night King, right as Jon Snow, or whoever, is about to deliver that fatal blow, what if the Night King leaves his own body by entering Bran Stark's? We have already seen the Night King take control of Bran's vision, and we have already seen the Night King force Bran out of those birds, but what if the Night King takes over Bran's body next? Let me know what you think about this idea. Do you think it's possible, or is it batshit crazy? Leave your thoughts or questions down below in the comment section. I want to thank you all for watching another video, I really appreciate that, and I also want to thank everyone on Patreon who continues to support the channel. I hope you all have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.